The Short Grace Rock Show, the core of new rock and metal.
I am joined by three of the lovely lads of Downcast. How are you all doing? And would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. So I'm Liam and I sing for Downcast.
I'm Ben. I play guitar and sing backing vocals.
I'm Leigh. I do guitar and backing vocals for Downcast as well.
And I'm Chris, and I'm not in the band.
Aww.
Cool, we've got the order down.
Obviously we're going to start off by saying, Liam and Ben, you're absolutely looking wonderful today. What have you kind of been doing with your time?
Today or just in general during lockdown?
How was lockdown?
It's not too bad. Me and Ben are quite fortunate that we can actually work from home. So, other than working, we have been working on a lot of music, sending ideas back and forth. Hopefully to go towards our next release.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of reiterate, we've just been working, writing songs. It's been nice having the new members as well. It'd be nicer if we could get in a practice room, but having other people's input is great because, me and Liam, it's always just been a case of we write all the songs and that's it. But now we've got members that are contributing as well, so it's bringing a different dynamic, which is quite nice.
And Leigh, with you being there, how has it been for you to kind of join in this band that was kind of set up at the start?
Intimidating. They like I said, they've kind of did the whole X Factor trial thing first, So
sing and dance.
They're they're literally dance monkey dance, and I was like,
I think
it's really good. As soon as I found them online, we met through Join My Band, was it the ad? Saw them. Saw the advert. Looked at it. I want to do stuff with these guys. I just like their music straight away. I was like, I can get into this. This is my jam.
I'm not sure if it's me that put it out, Nick, but Nick knew you already anyway, didn't he?
Yeah. I knew Nick and Jeff already.
But that was weird.
We tried getting something going slightly before, and it was just the case of finding committing members. It's always that difficult, especially at the start. It's that push to get everything going.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys dropped Catharsis in April. Great track, great music video. But I want to ask, how do you actually feel about Catharsis itself? So as an actual thing.
As in the definition of the word or the actual...
Yeah. So how do you feel because obviously a lot of people can see it as being an unhealthy thing or, the way that it's kind of used. So what is it for you?
For me, it's just a release of negative emotions, which, funny enough is, singing a song about it is cathartic. For me, it's definitely a positive thing.
And obviously we've been, we've not long ago had Mental Health Awareness Week and stuff like that. And obviously we've got Pride Month at the moment. So is there kind of any particular ways that you feel that you can deal with emotions and mental health in the best way possible? Is there any kind of advice that you would have for people who are listening to you and maybe watching this?
I'd say just don't be afraid to reach out to people. Everyone's got people that care about them, and sometimes it is really difficult to, you feel like you don't want to burden your friends and loved ones with your issues, but they care about you and they're not going to mind. They want to support you. So that's what I'd say about it.
I think the more you learn to be open about things like that, the more you find it's easier to deal with if there's someone else sort of I think people are going to be more understanding to your problems than you might think they are when it's just you alone and it feels so much bigger than it is. I think once it's shared, it can half in size.
Yeah.
I have this tactic of just literally looking in the mirror and laughing at myself. It sounds really weird, but it's taking life too seriously. I think sometimes I know everyone has their problems, and it doesn't matter how big, small they are. They seem like a big thing to that person. But if you are that kind of person who doesn't want to reach out you just have to try and make little jokes with yourself. I think that's the best way to kind of move forwards with it.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So obviously it is Pride Month at the moment. We've seen some big protests going on at the moment as well with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I wanted to ask you, obviously you guys are based in Bristol, so recently you've seen that protest happen. We've had the issues with like statues being brought down. I want to ask kind of what was your experience of that? Were you part of any kind of protest? Have you been out as part of that? And do you think we're going to see a sort of a real change from this particular movement?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that people learn about in school. It's crazy. Obviously, it's a positive movement. It's come about at a crazy time as well. Obviously, during a pandemic, but
Yeah.
you can't really pick and choose. But been trying to do what I can. Signing petitions, donate some money to some charities. It wasn't part of the actual protest myself, but obviously support everyone that was able to do
Yeah.
that.
I think I brought just like a few band t-shirts because I've seen a lot of bands doing a lot of stuff for it, so it's quite amazing. People who do have like a bit of following actually putting forth like help and everything like that. I think that's amazing. But you're also getting all these big companies getting called out for it, not even mentioning it, and
Yeah.
they're going to boycott these companies. I'm not saying they're like obliged to put their views out there, but people are saying, oh, you're going to get boycotted, don't do this. But it's kind of sensitive that it can go either way, especially with a big company, and it can literally ruin everything you've built, just for one thing you've said online. But that's the world these days, isn't it? It's just,
Unfortunately. And speaking of obviously Pride Month, Black Lives Matter, people as a whole being themselves, I want to ask you, how do you think at the moment and in the future as the music industry, how do you think we can be more inclusive for people?
I think making sure there's a lot of, it doesn't necessarily apply to us, but especially with like bigger figures within the music industry, just making sure there's enough diversity, different kinds of people. You're not, you're being inclusive, and I think just people being aware, because especially with stuff like social media and stuff, everyone is sort of constantly being educated on these things and learning things that they probably wouldn't have known before. It's becoming a much more talked about topic. So I think just as we go on, we just have to sort of bear that in mind, and don't let just say for example a movement like a protest sort of be in the past and that be forgotten. You've got to sort of realize that that's happened and carry on with that same mindset going forward.
It's all ongoing, isn't it? It needs to keep. It's all very well. You hear about we want to be inclusive, then you don't hear about it for months and months. It is one of those, even if it's more of a simmer than a roaring fire. It needs to be something that's constantly going on rather than a week here and a week there.
It sounds kind of silly because it should be the other way. What you think it should be the other way around, really. But I find like a lot of, for example, older family members, like mum and dad and stuff, obviously because they're not on, they're not on Twitter and stuff. They're not seeing the full extent of things. Like they might just see something on the news and be like, oh, that exists, but not really know much about it. I feel like as people that are active on social media and just young, and we talk about it within our friend groups and stuff, we're a lot more aware, and there is stuff that we can teach sort of older generations in a way, which sounds weird. We feel like they should be the ones teaching us, but it's just the way it is now, I guess.
No, obviously you've got more opportunity to be able to kind of educate people. We've got the internet now, so that older people may not wouldn't have had back in that day, so there's a lot of opportunity there. I want to ask you then, if you could change one thing in the world to make it a better place and improve it, what would you choose?
Wow. That's really tough. There's so much wrong with the world to pick one thing.
I would say just equality for everyone.
Yeah,
I think that's a good one to go off.
Equality for everyone, like
everyone
build structures where it's kind of accepted that certain people are treated differently, and it'd be good to just rewind
Hmm.
and deprogram that or unprogram that from our brains, sort of thing, because we've become so accustomed to certain things being a certain way when it's really backwards. Which I think, like I said, people are realizing now, and it's more than ever, becoming more apparent, and people are trying to change those things. But social media is sort of like an echo chamber, isn't it? You think that everyone's on the same page as you, but there are so many people that are sort of completely ignorant or even against some of the things that you and me, for example, would believe in. So there's still a lot of educating, I guess, to be done, trying to change people's minds. But I think it will, I think it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's have a fun one. Have you got a favorite show story that's kind of stuck in the memory at all?
We only have, as this lineup, we only had one gig. Because
tell us the
kind of
story.
We got everything ready to go. We had other stuff lined up, obviously, but it's all sort of falling through. So we had one gig this year, and it was quite a good gig, actually. We sold the most tickets because we were just a support act.
Oh, sweet.
We
managed to sell the most tickets, so that was cool.
I think my favourite part of that gig was that we've never had members that have driven before. So I managed to blag a lift with the bassist. So after the show, I managed to have a fair few beers, which is quite nice.
Nice. And is this a similar night to the photographs that we were talking about before?
Yeah, the same night.
Same night.
I don't know if you want to talk about that, because it seemed pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, the bit that made me laugh was that Nick gathered everyone up to come on downstairs, we've got to take some photos outside. So we were all outside, and it's like, where's Nick? And, he's driven up in his car. He's gone to move his car. We're like, what the fuck? He's dragged us out of the venue. Now he's disappeared.
Have you got any further plans for 2020 with regards to either releasing music or maybe sorting out gigs later in the year if things go back to normal?
Yeah, we're planning to get back in the studio kind of as soon as we're able to. We've been talking to Ian Sadler, who we record with, and we're looking at hopefully, within a couple of months after lockdown's lifted, being able to get in the studio. We've got a lot of demos we've written, but it's it's a case of getting into a practice room together to iron out the last creases of them, because you never know. We've wrote all these songs social distance. We might get in a practice room and think, Jesus Christ, this is the worst crop of shit I've ever heard. Fingers crossed, guys, that we won't. But I think in regards to 2020, with everything that's happening, I think we're all just trying to plan on, surviving it. We don't want another, volcano or something to erupt.
Let's not predict any more disasters.
Yeah, sorry, guys. If that happens, it's not my fault.
If it happens, blame Ben.
We did have something for November booked that got rescheduled for next year. But we are hoping to have a lot of sort of gigs coming up as soon as we can as well, because we've got Bedlam booking for us. So
fantastic.
I mean, we went with them during lockdown when we can't do anything, which is kind of funny, but should be good for the future. I'm not sure, obviously, on exact dates. I don't think anyone really knows. It's becoming a bit more clear now, because obviously shops are open and stuff in July. Or have already, but other stuff's open in July, like pubs and I think hairdressers and stuff. But,
it's going to be an interesting but scary transition, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to be like, because pubs are sort of having discussions. Because I've got a few friends who sort of DJ in bars and or work on bars and stuff. So they're all sort of having discussions about how they can keep people social distance in the venues and stuff. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it's going to be more sort of like a trial run to begin with. And I don't know, they might have you seen that video where they put everyone in those big hoops?
Yes.
so they have to stay away from each other.
In fact, I want to know what your thoughts are on potential drive-in gigs.
I've heard what band was doing that recently. Is it Skin Dread was doing a drive-in gig?
I didn't even see that.
Moment,
really?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure sort of how that works, but
I saw the greatest meme of what a driving gig would look for a metal band. It's just all these cars in one pit.
yeah. It might have just been a joke. I don't know. I saw something about it.
So it's good to know that you guys have still got plans in the works then. Hopefully we'll be able to catch you at a gig in the near future. And maybe, you never know, get you in some festivals, which would be really cool to see. But have you guys got anything else that you'd like to maybe promote or say to fans and potential fans at all before we wrap things up?
Just if you have heard our music, thank you very much. If you haven't, you've seen this, go listen to it. Our latest single's called Catharsis. It's on, Spotify, Apple Music, the lot. There's also a music video on YouTube, which has got our friend Chloe in it, who does some fire dancing, so that's cool.
It's really awesome, that video, actually, to be honest. I will link that in the description and at the end of this video so that people can go and watch it. So definitely go and click on that and give it a listen and give it a watch. And yeah, Downcast, thank you very much for joining me. Leigh, your hair looks awful.
Honestly.
No, you look beautiful. No, me and Liam had that plan at the start. Anyway, Downcast, thank you very much. Downcast, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Sure, Chris, out.